welcome back to another Let's Play of Cluedo. In today's part 2 episode, if I can be able to get this to work properly, we're going to be, once again, I'm going to be playing single player, which is offline, and I'm going to be I'm going to be playing against the AI. So, for the second part, we're going to go to the classic mansion. We're going to go to the classic mansion, and we're going to stick with the classic characters such as Scarlet, Professor Plum, Mrs. Peacock, Colonel Mustard, Mr. Green, and of course, the lovely Mrs. White. So, let's see. For the sake of anything, I'm going to choose Miss Scarlet because she looks absolutely fabulous. Plus, it's one of my mom's favorite colors, which is the color red. And I'm going to remove all of these AIs from the Tudor Mansion and stick with the originals. Professor Plum, up, Colonel Mustard, Mrs. White, and lastly Mr. Green. And I gotta make sure all of them are in easy mode because the purpose of this video is to technically showcase the board itself. But I gotta make sure I gotta make sure I get the right ones. Classic Mansion, and I'm choosing Miss Scarlet, and all of them aren't easy, so let's start the game. Also, I'll be putting a playlist of the music that I just managed to record and stuff. And the reason, and I want to thank you all for simply watching the video that contains the music of this game. It was very, very, very amazing. And I believe it has a lot of views. I'm not so sure of it. I haven't paid too much attention of it, but I really enjoyed the music of this game. Here's the classic mansion, and it's sun shining in that game. And it looks different than the Tudor mansion, where the Tudor mansion has thunderstorms, while this one has a bit of sunlight. So the premise of this board game, and this game included, is to figure out who did it with what weapon and which one takes place. So this contains 3 cards if you play with 6 players, and it's now Colonel Mustard's turn. What a coincidence. The last Let's Play in part 1, he goes first, and now he goes first as well. So he's headed to the library, as he suggests that it was Mrs. Peacock with the candlestick. However, I have the candlestick. I didn't have the room card. I have the candlestick, the revolver, and Mrs. Peacock, which I know she didn't do it. So now, it's now Mrs. Peacock's turn with a roll of 5. And she suggests that it was me, Miss Scarlet, with the candlestick. Of which, of course, I have the candlestick. Such an amazing, why am I talking so tongue-twisted? Oh my goodness. So that's a 6 for Plum. He's headed to the kitchen. And he suggests that it was Mr. Green with the revolver. Unfortunately, I have to show him that, but I didn't show him the candlestick. So, my plan here is out which room does it take place, but that will take a little bit longer. So right now it's my turn, and I roll a 7. Okay, so which room? I think I'm gonna go to the library since this is the room that many suggest the murder take place. So I'm assuming it's going to be Mrs. Peacock with this weapon. And Mr. Green has the library. So we know for sure that it's not the library. And this is like a notepad thing, so you can cross things and mark things in case you figure things out. So Mrs. White is in the dining room suggesting that it was Mrs. Peacock. However, I do have the peacock. I do have the candlestick, which means that the dining room isn't the room that takes place. So that's a good thing. Reason why it's a good thing is because now I know which room doesn't take place. As long as it has a lot of X's, but one of them has that card, then that'll be a little bit easier. So Mr. Green is in the ballroom and he suggests it was himself. I don't have any of these cards, so it could be any of them at this point. Colonel Mustard rolls an 8, which led him to the conservatory. So he suggested it's Plum with the dagger, but Peacock has one of the cards. Next is Mrs. Peacock's turn, and she rolls a 7, I believe. She's headed to the ballroom, where Mr. Green is at, and she suggests that it was me, Miss Scarlet, with the rope. And apparently, Mrs. White has one of the cards, which I don't know what it is. So now it is Professor Plum's turn. And he rolls an 8, which led him to the library. We all know Mr. Green has the library card. He suggests that it was me with the lead pipe. And apparently Mrs. White has one of the cards. Not the library. So, who knows? Alright, so right now it is my turn. And I roll 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I roll 11, which puts me to a certain room that I need to go to. Let's try the ballroom. Let's try the ballroom. And I'm going to assume Peacock again with this weapon. And Mrs. White has the ballroom. Or Mrs. White has the card of the ballroom. So that's not one of the rooms. Mrs. White is now headed to the kitchen. She was preparing some food when suddenly she makes a suggestion that it was Colonel Mustard with the wrench. Someone has one of the cards, which I don't know what it is. Mr. Green decided to head to the kitchen with Mrs. White, and he suggests that it was Mrs. Peacock with the dagger. However, I do have I do have Mrs. Peacock, but I don't know if Mrs. Peacock has the kitchen or the dagger. Either way, it's now Colonel Mustard's turn, and he rolls in a 9. He's also in the kitchen, suggesting that it was me, Miss Scarlet, with the lead pipe. And of course, Mrs. Peacock has one of the cards, but it's uncertain which one. So right now, it's Peacock's turn as she rolls a 9 again. And she's going to use the secret passage to head to the study. She assumes that it was herself with the lead pipe. However, I can assure her, unfortunately, it was not her. I think I can only show the cards privately towards other players, if not all of them. So Plum is headed to the study with Mrs. Peacock. He suggests himself with the rope. and I roll a 2. No, I roll a 4, excuse me. And I know it's not the ballroom, so let's go to the kitchen. Or technically stay in the kitchen, as I suggest that it was Peacock with this weapon. Alright, so Mrs. Peacock has the kitchen card. So that is not the room. So we're down to 5 rooms. And Mrs. White rolls a 3. She's going to use the secret passage to head to the study. He suggests that it was herself with the wrench. And of course, Mr. Green has one of the cards. He doesn't have this, the wrench, but he has either Mrs. White or the study. Mr. Green rolls a 7, and he heads to the ballroom, which I know it is not the room where it takes place. Okay, so let me check on what we discovered. I have the candlestick. Mrs. White has the ballroom. So that means that Colonel Mustard has this card. There we go. So I know that Mrs. White is in the room. So it is now Colonel Mustard's turn with a roll of 8. He's headed to the dining room. He suggests that it was Mrs. Peacock with the rope. But we all know that it is not the dining room. We don't know if it's the rope. Oh, wait a minute. He doesn't have the rope. Interesting. Someone may have the rope, but I don't know at this time yet. So next is Mrs. Peacock rolling a 7 as she heads towards the dining room. Well, technically, she's already in the dining room. She suggests that it was Colonel Mustard with the rope. And once again, Professor Plum has the dining room card. We don't know if he... But we don't know who has Mustard. And I forgot the rope thing. Plum is headed to the secret passage towards the kitchen. We all know that's not where it takes place. Let's see, I gotta be very careful. So Miss Scarlet, so it's uncertain if Mrs. Peacock has Miss Scarlet. We know that Mrs. Peacock has the kitchen card. We also don't know if she has the wrench card as well. Right now, it is my turn once again, and I roll a 3, which is technically not good. However, I would go to the study by using the secret passage. It is the only way. And also, another room that I have not tried to suggest. So I suggest it was Peacock again with this weapon. Alright, so it's definitely not the study, because Mr. Green has the study card. So we're down to 4 rooms, which is the lounge, the conservatory, the billiard room, and the hall. For the time being, Mrs. White is in the kitchen, suggesting that Plum did it with the candlestick. Which Mrs. Peacock has, can't talk. Mrs. Peacock has the kitchen card, and I have the candlestick. But I don't know if she has Plum, though. So it's likely possible that she may have it, but who knows. So Green is headed to the kitchen and makes a suggestion, which is Plum, red pipe. But once again, Peacock lets him know that that's not where the room takes place. This is where it gets a little bit intense. That's a 10. Oh my goodness, someone finally headed to the hole. Green Rich. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Wait a minute. We found the murder weapon, which is the wrench. But he did not make an accusation. That's good. I put it on easy for a reason. Just to hope, you know. Not just because I wanted to win, but it's because I don't want to make this video too long. Especially if I'm using Bandicam. Alright. So, we know that the wrench is the murder weapon. I don't know who has Plum. But let's see. And I don't know who has the lead pipe. What we do know is that Mr. Green has the library. This is where it gets a little intense because we're starting to put everything together. So we gotta figure out if the hall is one of the rooms. Fortunately, we may never know. I know that Colonel Mustard has Mrs. White. I know that the wrench is one of the murder weapons. And Plum made that suggestion. So right now it's my turn, and I'm gonna try to see if I can make it to the hall. Which I did. Alright, let's go to the hall then. Let's see. I am going to suggest myself with the wrench. Oh my goodness, so the hall is one of the rooms that take place. And I, as in Scarlet, is not the killer. Alright. So now we're down to 3 suspects, which is Green, Mustard, and Plum. Which means a male character from this game has did something wrong. Let's hope that no one gets it, because otherwise, we're totally screwed. Well, technically, I'm totally screwed. Gotta show him this weapon. Green made a suggestion, and it's not it. Mustard has decided to roll a 6. He heads to the study, which I know is not where it takes place. He suggests that it was himself. Let's see, who has Mustard? Well, unfortunately, Mrs. White has one of the 2 cards, so we don't know for sure. Right now, Peacock is headed to the lounge, as she made such a suggestion, if I could say it properly. Did it with the wrench. Okay. So, we know the wrench is the murder weapon. I don't think the lounge is, like, where it takes place. As for Plum, it's uncertain whether Mrs. Peacock has Plum. So, I'm going to make that as a suggestion. Just to see. Right now it's Plum's turn with a roll of 10, as he heads to the study. He suggests that it was Green with the wrench. However, Green has the study card. Right now, it is my turn. Oh, excuse me. Now this is where it gets a little bit tricky. Let's see, the room that I haven't tried was the lounge. But I know that the hall is where it takes place. So I'm going to suggest that it was Plum with this weapon. Just to keep it, you know. And he has the lounge card. This is where it gets a little bit stressful. Because Plum could have done it. Mrs. White is unable to make a suggestion. So now it's Green's turn. He rolls a 3. And he's going to stay in the study and suggest that it was Peacock with the pipe. I have to inform him that it's not Peacock, unfortunately. Alright, let us continue. As we hope no one makes an accusation before I did. That is a 7, which led Colonel Mustard to the library, as he makes a suggestion that it was Mrs. Peacock with the lead pipe again. Another reminder. Head to study. A reminder once more. He rolls a 4. He's staying in the lounge and suggests that it was Mustard with the dagger. Okay, so Green does not have Mustard. He has the lounge. But I don't know if he also has the dagger as well. So this is what makes things a little bit stressful. Alright, I'm hoping I get to roll a higher number to get to the hallway. I don't know if that is enough. No, it certainly is not. So let's head to the dining room. Let's head to the dining room. And try to suggest that it was Plum all along with this weapon. Oh my goodness, of course. Of course. So, I think I know who the killer is. According to these notes, it was Plum with the wrench in the hole. Remember, if we get this wrong, we're screwed. Well, technically, it's game on. And we also gotta click the cards. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Alright, we did it. Plum is now in jail, and Miss Scarlet is victorious. Alright, so this is the score. It took 7 turns, and the time is 24 minutes and 24 seconds. Awesome. Alright, so in the next part of this game, we're going to try the rest of the theme boards that we can play. I think the next one is the Hollywood one. Excuse me. I think the next one's the Hollywood one, but I'm not 100% sure. But this will continue until I can't continue anymore, until we reach the end of all the board themes. And there's a possibility that I might play other theme games as well, but it is uncertain. Also, I don't know if I remind you about this, but the reason why I'm playing Clue It's technically because there's going to be a new Clue game digitally on the mobile device. It's not available on PC just yet, but there's a possibility that they will if the newer one is successful. So for that in mind, I can't even talk. For that in mind, ladies and gentlemen, I will be playing that game as soon as I figure out when will it release. But until then, thanks for watching, and as always, stay safe, stay healthy, be kind to others, and have a wonderful day.